Oh my goodness, I don't know how to work it. Hi. We are live, everybody. Is it on? Yep, it's on. Okay. All right, so we're going to go over the cleansing your temple. Thank you for joining us online as we go over the second portion of the Torah portion today, known as the 8th. It is important to cleanse your temple because according to the Yahuah HaMashiach, the Messiah, what did he say our body was? The temple. So wouldn't it make sense, dear friends, that if Yahushua is going to dwell in us, that we should give him a clean place to stay? Right? I mean, who here likes to stay at the Roach Motel? Nobody, right? Do you think Yahushua, the king of all creation, wants to stay in the Roach Motel full of swine's flesh? I don't think so, right? I don't think so. We should consider these things.
We have a hard enough time trying not to defile ourselves. You know he's not going to want us doing that, for him to come into our heart.
Yeah. I found it interesting because the Christian church teaches your vessel doesn't have to be clean before Yahushua can, well, they say before their Messiah, Jesus, can come into your heart. But it's interesting because the apostles, what did they teach first? What was the first thing they taught people? To repent. That was what they taught people first. They didn't say, hey guys, receive this Messiah in your heart and then he'll clean you. That's not what they taught. They said, repent from your sin, call upon the name of salvation, which is Yahushua, and you shall be saved. Not that you are, but that you will be. Because what happens when you admit that you're a sinner, right? Transgressing the law of Yahuah, and then are willing to learn the way of Yahuah. What happens in here? It begins to become a new heart, right? A new heart, which means it's being cleansed from the former things. That's the promise in Jeremiah 31, that he will give you a new heart, not one of stone, but one of flesh. And he will put his Torah in your heart and write his laws on your inner parts. Remember the washing of your inner parts today in the first half of Leviticus that we read? That's what he does. He begins to wash us on the inside. But you cannot be washed by him if you never acknowledge him. And you cannot acknowledge him if you don't first acknowledge that you yourself are a sinner. Make sense? There's a process, and you have to follow it. You can't jump over the wall and get in with the sheep. You have to enter through the door, right? Leviticus 11:1, and Yahuah spoke unto El Moshe and El Aaron, saying unto them, what did he say, Nathan?
Speak unto the children of Yasharel, saying, these are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth.
What was the Great Commission? He said to go out and speak, preach, right? It's the same thing, right? Go out and speak. All right, keep going, brother. Sorry, I just had to say that.
Whatsoever parts the hoof and is cloven-footed and chews the cud among the beasts shall ye eat. Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the hoof as the camel, because he bites not the hoof, he is unclean.
Does anyone misunderstand what it means to chew the cud? Or maybe I should ask that in a better way. Does everyone understand what it means to chew the cud? And then do what with it? There you go. Yeah. Yep. So animals that chew the cud and have cloven hoofs, they multiple times they regurgitate their food, chew it again, and then swallow it again, and it passes through multiple stomachs so that it's fully digested and fully cleansed. Pretty cool, huh? They're slow digesters, and if we could slow down our digestive system, we would absorb way more nutrients. and probably destroy way more parasites. But because we have a very fast digestive system, we absorb less, right? And kill less, which means more bugs and parasites can dwell in us um, because the process of digestion is slower. Makes sense? All right. So that's what makes these animals clean. Huh?
How did the Hebrews know that a animal is digesting?
Well, in the most simplest way, have you ever watched a cow eat? Okay. So if you grew up with cows and sheep and goats, you would notice that at all times, they're literally standing there, and their jaws going in a circle. I hope I'm doing that right. But their jaw goes in a circle. What are they chewing on? They didn't even eat anything, right? Their jaw's just always. What they're literally doing is eating again what they had earlier. So you may not see them constantly going down to the ground, but they're constantly chewing. What's up, David?
And sometimes they lose that cud and they'll run all over that pasture looking for that one cud they
I didn't know that.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Until they find it, and then they
start chewing it again, huh? Wow.
But if they lose their cud, they go all over
They get messed up. That's cool. I didn't know that, but yeah, I mean, that's
I've seen cows in my lifetime
looking for their cud, and they're probably pretty mad, huh?
So they were frantic.
Yeah.
You know, because that one part of that digest, if you see them eating grass again, but they're just adding on to the cud that's already in their mouth.
Ah, yeah.
So therefore, they are constantly doing the cud, eating grass, doing the cud.
It's kind of like they're just slowly digesting from what they're chewing. Yeah, it makes sense. You know, we eat fast, don't we? As humans, we eat really fast. And how much of that food do you think even gets chewed up? Probably very little. And why do you think we have so many stomach issues? Probably because we don't chew our food enough. You know? Yeah, or how many teeth do you get? Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I think my mom always used to tell me, you know, slow down or you're going to have, you know, stomach pains, you know, because I would drink and eat real fast, you know, and she was right. You know, it would hurt my stomach. And in the army, then, what I had like what a minute to eat my dinner, so I'm just like, you know, and I would have terrible bloating and stomach issues. So that comes from us who don't chew the cud. All right, you can try to chew the cud. I don't think it'll work out too well for you. All right, that's the experiment. Everyone's going to try chewing the cud and see what it's like. I'm just kidding. That's very grassy. Yeah. So, and the other thing is too is can we actually process green plants? Only if they're cooked. Yeah. So I mean, like if you were to pick up a handful of grass and eat it, it would do nothing for you. It would just go through you. You wouldn't be able to digest it. It would come out the same way you swallowed it. Green grass, and then you know, no, you can't. But you know what you can process? The cow. Salads like green lettuce? To a certain degree. You get very few minerals and vitamins from the actual lettuce. It's more of, honestly, it's more of a luxury to eat leaves because while you do get some from it, the majority of it passes through your system. Most of our food passes through our system. We only absorb a small amount. Why do you think we have to eat, you know, so much and yet still feel empty? Um, well, even some carnivores would only eat like once a week. Yeah, they would eat and then they would lay around in the shade, you know. And but humans, for some, were very weird, very dependent on food and water, which is something the Messiah taught us to not really be dependent on, didn't he? He taught us to be more concerned with spiritual food than with earthly. Yeah. So does everyone understands the division of the hoof? So the hoof is literally split or cloven. toed, so which means it has two toes. Like my foot would be like this. Like I would have a hoof, and then it would be split. So it would have to be split and chew the cud, because there are animals that have cloven feet and not chew the cud, like the camel. It says, "Shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the hoof, as the camel? Because he chews the cud, but divides not the hoof. Has anyone seen a camel's foot?" Yeah, it's kind of like a horse. Well, no, camels have toes. Camels have toes. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, camels have toes. They don't really have a hoof. Like kind of like an elephant. Like an elephant has a big foot. You wouldn't eat an elephant, would you? You might. You might, because you get that hungry, don't you? I'm just messing with it. Yeah, they get big nails. So does a camel. A camel has like a weird squishy foot that can go over the sand. Yeah. Leviticus 11:5, and the coney, because he chews the cud but divides not the hoof, he is unclean unto you. And the hare, or a rabbit, because he chews the cud but divides not the hoof, he is unclean unto you. Right? And the swine, though he divide the hoof and be cloven footed, yet he chews not the cud, he is unclean to you. Of their flesh shall ye not eat, and their carcass shall ye not touch. They are unclean to you. These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters whatsoever. So let's stop there for a second. What does unclean mean, do you think? Does it mean that they're not good? It means they're not food. They are good. Everything created by Yahuah is good and perfect according to its purpose. But not everything was created for us to eat, right? I mean, it makes sense. And he was trying to teach his children what creation should be eaten and what should not. And the unclean things were things that were more likely to be diseased and have parasites. And he didn't want his children to be full of worms. Makes sense, huh? Yo, like in person you saw it? Oh, like on the Book of Face or something like that? Yeah, that's wild, isn't it? Yeah. I believe it. Anyone in here hunted rabbits before? What's all over rabbits? Worms.
What they call them wolves, they're parasites up underneath.
They're up underneath the skin.
During the winter time, they die away, but summertime, they grow in them continuously, and that's the reason why people come down with rabbit fever.
Correct.
Because they eat a rabbit during the summertime, and they got those wolves in there, almost, as a parasite, and then they end up with a rabbit fever because they have the parasites underneath their skin.
Now, is someone born with that knowledge? Were you born with the knowledge of what you should eat and what you shouldn't? Who taught you? Your parents, right?
Grandparents.
Who is like a mother to us? Yahuah. He teaches us what to eat and what not to eat. Who is like a father to us? Yahuah. He teaches us right from wrong, just like a mother and a father would. He teaches every person. What's up, Ryan? Yes, correct. The mother, the one who provides milk. Right. It's good. El Shaddai. So this is what Yahuwah is doing. He's saying, my children, I command you to be clean. I command you to be holy. Now please eat what I'm showing you to eat, and don't eat what I say don't eat. And everything will be okay. You won't be full of worms, right? Who does not want to be full of worms? I don't. And I promise you that even if you take these animals and you domesticate them and raise them for food and say they're parasite free, they aren't. They're not. They can't be. There's something hereditary to them. They are unclean no matter what. Correct.
It's hereditary. They pass it on from generation to generation.
And they pass it on from generation to generation. You're right. Yes, sir. And the disease continues. And then if you eat something diseased, you become Diseased. Yeah. There's a brain disease in white-tailed deer all across the Northeast. And I think it's even here in Texas now. What do they tell you not to do? Don't eat the brains and don't consume too much of the meat. Make sure to cook it properly. Huh? Yeah. But see, the thing is they'll tell you things like that. Don't eat that because it's diseased. But they won't tell you that swine itself is diseased from the beginning. So don't eat that. Isn't that weird? And yet they stuff it down your throat. Eat more bacon, eat more bacon, eat more bacon. Something's wrong with the system, folks. Yeah, I can pull that up. Oh, it's on my phone later. But basically, I was going through, was that Dallas? I think it was Dallas. It might have been Baltimore. And they have these huge billboards that are digital, and it come up with a sign, and it said, "Pigs don't fly." It had a pig with wings, right? This is an international airport, friends. It said, "Pigs don't fly," and then the next slide came up, and um, it said pigs carry diseases. And the next slide came up, and it says something about if you bring swine in or pig into America, you'll bring diseases with you, right? It says something along that lines. And I just remember sitting there and I just watched it over and over. And I'm like, am I seeing this straight? Why they got these billboards telling people not to take pork from one country to another, yet they shove pork down the American throat? You see the problem there? Other nations know that pork is bad. And America's here feeding us pork on everything. They put it in everything. It was in the international section. Yeah, they don't want us. They don't want our pork there. A lot of countries do not eat pigs. That's correct. They use pigs on farms as cleaners, but they don't actually eat them. They use them for cleaning the soil and tilling fields. They don't consume the pigs themselves. A lot of countries don't touch them. Yep. Yeah. Correct. Pigs don't care. That's why they're called pigs. And the Russians know all about that. So I just want to show you, why would it say don't touch their carcass? A dead one, in other words. Why would you not want to touch a dead, unclean animal? They don't get worms. The transfer of disease comes through the touch. Were these people out there walking around with Dawn dish soap in their back pocket? No. Which means if they touch something, it's on them. How many days does it take for the disease to die? He tells us 7 days. And on the 8th day, you are clean. He was healing them. He was making sure disease wouldn't spread in the camp. It's almost like he knew, like he created it or something. What's up?
My husband was a mortician. He had his own funeral. And the synagogue that we went to, they decided that if anybody died in the fellowship, that Lord would be the body. You know, it talks about touch, or if you do touch a dead body, how many days? Is it 7?
7 days. Uh-huh. Well, not necessarily. We'll get into that in a little bit. Part of that, especially for the priests that touch the dead, they just couldn't come into the presence of Yahuah. They were kept outside of the tabernacle, but not necessarily out of the assembly. Does that make sense? Because they could be around the assembly, but not in the tabernacle. We'll read through that so you know that what it says specifically. But there was specific rules for the priests, and Roy would have been like a priest that took care of the dead, right? And so there is very specific instructions for that. And Yahuwah never did this to punish those people, because someone had to get the dead carcass outside the camp of the animal. Someone had to take care of the dead, or you would have dead people everywhere, right? Right, and causing disease. Yeah, because after 4 days or after 3 days, the body begins to decompose and collect worms and all kinds of nastiness. So Yahuah wasn't doing this to punish anybody. He was doing it for the benefit of all. And that's why the second Passover came about, because people that would take care of the dead were unclean, and then they couldn't participate in Passover. And so Yahuah said, well, I'll give you another Passover so that you could partake. He loves us, and he wants us to fellowship with him. But he has rules to keep disease out of his camp. Makes sense. I'm thankful for that. So what about fish? What kind of fish do we eat? It says here you eat fish that have spikes out their face, no scales, and are slimy when you pick them up. Yeah, it's catfish. Come on, brother. That's right. We do not eat fish that do not have fins or scales, right? It has to have fins and scales. Now, what I've discovered is in modern day, because they have microscopes, they try to tell you that sharks have scales and dolphins have scales. Nah. Go back to simple. Remember, the Torah is simple. It's made for the simplest person. If you pick a fishy up and fishy go ow when you go this way, there's scales. If you go this way and it doesn't go ow, it don't have scales. You need to put it back in the river. Make sense? If you pick a fishy up and it goes squishy and icky, you put it back. You don't eat it, right? That's how simple it is. Because if you pick a catfish up, it goes squishy, icky, you put it back because it's stinky. That's a catfish. And eels, yeah, they're very slimy. And amoras in the sea, ugh, stinky, slimy. Like you pick it up and you're like, oh, I should eat this ball of snot. No, like common sense, friends. I don't know why people pick up a bat and think, oh, this looks like a piece of chicken and eat it, right? I mean, come on. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that bats probably aren't supposed to be eaten. But thankfully, Yahuah told us not to eat bats. Isn't that wonderful? I'm so thankful he made it very simple. And all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers of all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you. That's a powerful word, isn't it, friends? Abomination. Pigs are an abomination for you to touch their dead bodies and to eat their flesh. So are catfish. They're an abomination, which means when you see one, you wouldn't even pick it up. You would take a stick and kick that thing back in the river where it belongs. You wouldn't go around playing with it, making it bark at you, right? Yeah, catfish bark if you leave them out of the water too long. They go, oh.
That's their skin rubbing against the bone in there, which causes them to sound like.
Yeah, it sounds creepy. It's very creepy. Catfish always scared me when I was a kid. Leviticus 11:11. They shall be even an abomination unto you. You shall not eat of their flesh. You shall not eat of their flesh. Can't make it any simpler than that. But ye shall have their carcasses in abomination. So when you see one dead, you wouldn't go around picking it up, right? Lest it be in your camp, then you would remove it. But then you would have to wash your hands with water, and you would be unclean because you touched an unclean thing because it has diseases and worms, right? Whatsoever has no fins nor scales in the waters, that shall be an abomination unto you. And these are they which ye shall have an abomination among the fowls. So birds. Anyone want to read the birds we're supposed to not eat?
These are they which shall have an abomination among the fowls. They shall not be eaten. They are an abomination, the eagle, the osprey, and the osprey.
Keep going.
And the vulture and the kite after his kind.
It's in there. My Chinese friends watching online. It's in there.
All fowls that creep upon all fours shall be an abomination.
Let's stop and talk about the birds. To sum it up quite easily, what are these birds? Birds all in a category of carnivores, predators, right? They're all predator birds. Yeah.
Still, they're a bat.
Yeah, it's a bat. I mean, it just simply says bat.
I mean, a fruit bat, he doesn't just eat the fruit. I mean, he eats fruit, but he also eats other small.
Yeah, insects and such. So they're hunters, right? And so, like I said before, if you eat something diseased, you are diseased. And most predator birds will eat something dead or alive, something full of worms, and something not. And what do most predators go after? The weak and the dying, right? The slow, which means they're probably diseased. It's nature's way of cleansing itself, right? As the strong, only the strong survive.
That's to keep the others
Right.
from being strong and surviving.
Right.
So that there's no disease to go through their
Right. That's it. That's it. It's nature's way of cleansing every animal from a disease, deformity, a bloodline, corruption, whatever it may have you. So we don't want to eat these guys because if we eat these guys, we're adding into the food chain of the disease. These guys have a very special digestive system that it does not harm them. Like the vulture has stomach acid that can pretty much, I think it dissolves everything, bones, all of it. It's their stomach acid is intense, right? We ain't got that. So if you're going to eat one of those birds, you're probably going to look like them, for one thing. You know, you're probably going to start looking a little weird.
If you want to look like them, then you go ahead and eat them.
You are what you eat, right? And you start eating turkey vultures, you're going to start looking like a turkey neck. Okay? Your head's going to be red because you're going to get that leprosy up on you. We're going to go over in a minute.
What about fruits? Let me tell you why I asked this. When I was in Costa Rica, there are all the banana trees out there, acres and acres. They have bags.
Yeah.
And of course, I said, well, what are the bags for? And the guy said, because they're crawling with tarantulas. And that those tarantulas are big as a dinner plate. And that they love bananas. That's their food. And a lot of times, when they harvest bananas, they harvest tarantulas. And I was like, I don't think I'll ever eat another banana after this.
Well, thankfully, bananas have skin. We don't eat the skin; we eat the fruit on the inside. But as far as fruit and what the Torah says, it says don't eat fruit with a worm in it. The Torah tells us specifically not to eat the worm found in fruit or fruit found with a worm. We don't eat worms. As far as not eating bananas, it doesn't say anything about that. But you don't eat the spider.
No.
But the spider probably protects the fruit from worse.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, you find a fruit that's got a worm in there, it lays eggs.
Yeah, and then you're going to eat the eggs.
If he falls out, don't go ahead and eat fruit.
That would make you bad fruit, wouldn't it?
Yes.
The Torah is awesome, y'all. I mean, it's so simple to understand, and you can crack jokes about it all day long. It's yeah, it's fun because it's truth, and there's no reason to argue about it. Let's see what else here. What do we got? Where did we leave off? All fowls that creep, going upon all fours, shall be an abomination to you. What is a bird that creeps with 4 legs? Does anyone know? Insect. Fowl that creeps on all fours. So something that can fly that has 4 legs. Dragons? Dragons have 4 legs and wings.
Dragonflies.
There you go. That's one. Dragonflies. Damselflies. There's lots of things that have 4 legs and can fly. There was probably more back in this time than there is now. But yeah, it's interesting. Insects, primarily talking about insects that fly. Okay? Yet these may eat of every flying, creeping thing that goes upon all four, which have legs above their feet to leap withal upon the earth. Even these of them you may eat, the locust after his kind, and the bald locust after his kind, and the beetle after his kind, and the grasshopper after his kind. All right, so if we get real hungry, guys, how do we determine which bugs to eat? What are we looking for on the bug?
Oh, 4 legs. 2 above the other. Legs above their feet.
In other words, the hind legs. What are the hind legs primarily for? Jumping. Yes. So you're looking for that back pair of legs that has a joint, a hinge. They kind of look like this, right? Crickets. Bingo. And they're made for jumping. Crickets can jump and they can fly. They only have 4 feet. They have 4 feet plus their jumpers, huh? And they can sing a beautiful song.
I just looked it up and it says that there's no that has 4 feet. It's other like 2 feet. 6 feet.
Well, that's according to modern day science. Yes, it just means something that flies, yeah?
No, it is a reference to a bird that is used.
Yeah, like ducks, chickens, geese, things of that nature. Yeah. So, guys, did you know there was animals that existed prior to 2025 that had weird things that were different? A lot of the animals that they had back in these times aren't even around anymore. You know? Like dragons. Hawks, yeah, the original hawks doesn't exist anymore. There's lots of species of animals that aren't even around.
What's a cormorant?
I don't know, what is a cormorant? Can you ask your chat GTP?
No little babies or ask Chat.
I don't care, whatever you want to do, brother.
Cormorant?
I think it's up there on the screen, right? Should be. Was it?
It was there.
Oh, it was on that slide?
Back.
Forward or backwards?
Back. That's where we started.
Oh, where we start?
Well, I guess we went too far back. And then the next slide. Sorry.
There it is. Cormorant. Let's see. Ants. Ants have 4 legs and wings.
They have a 3-section body. 4 legs?
Pretty sure they have 4 legs. I'm pretty sure an ant only has 4 legs. Am I wrong? And the queens have wings. And the males sometimes have wings. Yeah. And wasps. I think wasps only have 4 legs, right? And wings. Bees have 4 legs, right? Wings. There's lots of critters that have 4 legs and wings that we wouldn't eat.
I think
Do they have 6 legs? I'm not a scientist. Do all ants have 6 legs? Do all ants have 6 legs? Okay. Science is not my expertise, or whatever it's called. What is it? It's a really ugly bird. What does it look like? That is an ugly bird. Why would you even want to eat that thing? Like, you just look at it and you're like, nah.
Is that?
I mean, I guess if you're really hungry and you're like, This is all I have.
But the insect has 6 legs.
Okay, all insects have 6 legs.
Arachnoids have 8.
I'll stick to what I know, and that's the Torah. I don't know insects. But I do know, as long as it has a jumping leg, what is it, brother?
So, what does this mean about verse 21? So it wasn't insects, because insects have 6 legs. So grasshopper, I guess it's just referring to specifically grasshopper.
I think if you look at something that flies, right, and it's a creeping thing means bug, and you look at it and it flies and has 4 legs, don't eat it.
Yes, he did.
Huh?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, don't eat it, right? He keeps it real simple.
No. That makes it okay to eat.
Makes it okay to eat?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they may eat. Thank you, brother. I got mixed up. Yeah, these may eat of every flying creeping thing that goes upon all 4, which have legs above their feet to leap withal. So they have to have that jumping leg is the key part. They have to have the jumping leg, right?
Right.
And technically that would give them 6 legs. But see, they count and here they count the feet different than the jumping legs. There's feet, and then there's the jumping, the hind legs. Yeah. Is a fly a house fly? How many feet does a house fly have? Is it 6? But it doesn't have jumping legs, does it? No jumping legs. So it has 6 feet.
Does that make a cricket clean?
Does it make a cricket clean?
Some grasshoppers.
I guess so. As long as it has that joint in the back leg, it jumps, right?
I'm just imagining your pool when it had about 10,000 crickets.
Yeah.
And how the crickets smell.
Get you a bunch of those little
Was-
grasshoppers. Do like
Yeah.
John the Baptist.
Yeah, he dipped his locusts in honey and ate them, which 100% you have to like make yourself a sandwich with honeycomb, put your locusts between the honeycomb. Don't think about it, just do it, right? You might be surprised once you retrain your taste buds at what you can eat. I learned that in the desert, retraining my taste buds. And I came back and I started eating American food again, and I thought it was awful. I was like, ugh, because over there they didn't put all these seasonings on things. It was just food. Yeah, it was just food. So we would eat the food. It was very bland, and my taste buds readjusted to just enjoying the natural flavor of things. And then when I came back to America, I struggled because everything was overwhelming with seasonings and artificial flavors. This is big. Oh. Bats are not classified as foul in the modern delineation, but were for the Hebrews. That's why they're in the foul section, right? Incidentally, the term fowl or bird in Leviticus is the Hebrew word op, which literally means flying creatures. It is derived from up, which denotes to fly about, fly away. Then we have a special command in verse 20, all fowls that creep, going upon all 4 shall be an abomination unto you. What are these unclean fowl that go on all 4s? It wouldn't be bats, which were just discussed in the prior verse. Some commentators again point out that the Hebrew word here simply means flying things. And they suggest that this verse references insects. Perhaps this is correct, but the 6-legged insects are dealt with in their own section, which is true in verse 21-23. Could the fowl on all 4s be penguins? They don't have 4s. They only have 2 feet. Penguins use their wings to fly through the water and to get up on land. But then they typically walk on just 2 feet. Moreover, it is unlikely the Israelites why would the Israelites find penguins? Guys, we're too far north.
Well, I mean, no. The south tip of Africa.
Oh yeah, south tip of Africa has penguins. You're right. Hey guys, we're too far south. I live by the philosophy: if I see penguins, I went too far. I'm just being funny. Huh?
Daddy, Connor's on the floor and Emil and One was in the water.
Yeah, they're having fun. Okay, bud. He's gonna read. Ready?
But it's got to go outside.
So let's see here. Pterosaurs. Today's scientists classified the pterosaur. So we were right on when we said dragons, by the way. Did you know dragons translates back? Excuse me. Did you know dinosaurs translates back to dragons? Yeah. If you do a word search on dinosaurs, it'll go back to the word dragon. Yeah. All right. So today's scientists classified the pterosaurs among the reptiles rather than the birds, but the pterodactyloid pterosaur with her head crest and short tails would likely have been lumped in with the fowl by the ancient Hebrews. It seems that a species of long-tailed, oh boy, here we go, ready? Rhamphorhynchoid pterosaur was known as the fiery flying serpent, aka dragoon. See, I knew something was here. We know from fossils that many of these dragons, I'm just going to say dragons, scurried around on all fours. Perhaps there were living dragons still thriving in the region of the Middle East during the times of the Exodus. Like the bat and the various unclean birds, they were not to be. I 100% agree that dragons were still around because if you read the book of Yasher, it talks about dragons. And in Exodus, he caused fiery serpents to come into the camp and kill many. Lots. We have lots of dragons. We have lots of dragons. Anything closely related to their ancestors, the dinosaurs, are dragons. So you have the Komodo, you have the chameleon, you have the anole, you have the bearded dragon, you have the horned dragon, you have Komodo. Yep. You have the iguana. Yes, correct. You have the crocodile. You have the alligator. You have the several species of those. They're all considered dragons. And then don't think there's any that fly still. I think they all scurry on their belly. They all lost their wings. But could you imagine? You're like chilling out in your lawn chair, and all of a sudden it's like a flock of iguanas fly over, and you're just like, yeah, it's nasty. Not to mention iguana bites are horrible. You ever watch them guys get coconuts out of trees and get attacked by iguanas? Bro, they will tear you up. When they grab a hold of you, they don't let go, and they got nasty teeth.
Dragons, they have very saliva that is very infectious.
Yeah, it's true.
Bacteria is so bad that when they bite you, they let you go because you're eventually going to die from it.
Yeah. Oh, and they claim the chicken is a descendant of a dragon too. So I don't know. Maybe we should be eating chicken.
No, I read that fire breathing because those birds eat something up in the mountain cliffs that's like phosphorus.
Ah, yeah.
Something grows there and they eat it.
I believe it.
Aussie rocks.
I believe there's not a coincidence, guys, that the history books talk about dragons consistently, especially in the Dark Ages.
Throughout like every
Yeah, every culture. There's no and in the book of Adam and Eve talks about the house of dragon being in the east, and there's no coincidence that the east worships the dragon. Okay, so yeah, history lines up with the ancient books. What a coincidence! And yeah, if you ever want to watch a cool show, watch House of Dragon. It teaches you the history of the what's that? The Tudors. Targaryens, but it actually translates to Tudors, right, or something. What did you say? Oh, I thought the Targaryens were like an actual family. I thought we looked it up. Yeah, we go. Yeah, I don't know. Look into it for yourself, but it was cool when we looked at it. The Targaryens was a real,
parallels.
yeah, it was a real nation at one time. The War of the Roses or something in the 1300s. Yeah, and and if you read the book of Yasher, the war with Moses in it, with the Cushites, I think they were fighting dragons. Um,
They use storks
to kill the dragons, I think. Yeah.
Storks. There were numerous storks, and Moshe's people went and took months to go train for this tactic, and then they deployed these storks and tore up the big.
And the dragon is nothing but a flying serpent. Oh, all right. Anyways, what's some other things we can't eat, guys? And whosoever bears aught of the carcass of them shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. So here in this circumstance, guys, this is important to pay attention to. Let's back up. It says, "But all the flying, creeping things which have 4 feet shall be an abomination to you, and for these ye shall be unclean. Whosoever touches the carcass of them shall be unclean until the evening." This is important to pay attention to, because these little creeping things, like I find a cockroach laying on my floor almost daily, right? Because we live in Texas, we're always looking for stuff, and I pick it up and I throw it away. I need to wash my hands, right? That's what this is saying, right? I need to wash my hands. Right here it says, "Whosoever bears aught of the carcass of them shall wash his clothes and be unclean until evening." You're washing yourself to make sure that you didn't pick anything up off of that bug. These are simple instructions on how to be clean and not get bugs from bugs, right? And the dead carcasses of animals. The carcasses of every beast which provides the hoof and is not cloven-footed, nor chews the cud, are unclean unto you. Everyone that touches them shall be unclean. Whosoever goes upon his paws, among all manner of beasts that go on all 4, those are unclean unto you. Whoso touches their carcass shall be unclean until the evening. Right? Now, what goes on all paws that people eat today? Bears, dog, cats. People eat all 3 of those: bears, dogs, cats, raccoons, possums, yeah.
Rabbits.
Technically, rabbits, you could say, yeah. Yeah, we're talking specifically though about things that go on paws. So this is talking about pawed animals: dogs, cats, lions, bears, that kind of thing. Make sense?
Tigers.
Oh my! Right? You don't eat that kind of stuff, Yeah. And let's see. Then it says, "And he that bears the carcass of them shall wash his clothes and be unclean until evening. They are unclean unto you, so don't eat them. These also shall be unclean unto you among the creeping things that creep upon the earth: the weasel, mouse, tortoise of every kind." You know how many nations eat tortoise, right? And sea turtles and all that kind of stuff. Turtle stew, yeah, yeah. When I was in Bora Bora, they actually talked about which turtles to eat and which ones not. Most of them are extremely poisonous. If you eat them, you die. You die, right? Well, they still eat certain ones of them. You look at a tortoise, right, or a turtle, and would you eat that thing? Just by looking at it, does it scream to you, "Eat me"? No! It's probably got barnacles on its back, and it's probably got parasites literally clinging to it. Because things that live in the sea have parasites on them. And they require other fish to get the parasites off, right? Why would you want to eat that? I don't know, guys. I feel like there's other things to eat. A conch, yeah, so that is a bottom dweller. We're about to hit that. These also, hold on, because we're about to hit that. "These also shall be unclean unto you among the creeping things that creep upon the earth: the weasel, the mouse, the tortoise after his kind, and the ferret, and the chameleon, and the lizard, and the snail, and the mole." Who would eat a mole? These are unclean to you among, who would eat a person though? I mean, there's people that eat people, so "These are unclean to you among all that creep. Whosoever touches them, when they dead, shall be unclean until the evening. Upon whatsoever any of them, when they are dead, does fall, it shall be unclean, whether it be any vessel of wood, raiment, or skin, or sack, whatsoever vessel it be, wherein any work is done, it must be put into water, and it shall be unclean until the evening, so it shall be cleansed." Now, if a lizard, a chameleon, comes into my house and falls onto my clay pot, what must I do with the clay pot? Yeah, if something falls, it means it's dead.
You gotta wash it.
Why?
But there might be something disease on there.
There you go. Those invisible germs, right? If something's dead, it means that it's decomposing and it has bacteria, right? Because bacteria helps to break down living organisms or dead organisms in this case, right? And so if it falls on something that's an earthen vessel like clay, it's going to absorb whatever's on it. It's going to cling to it, right? Because it's a porous product to a point, right? And so then if you put your food in there then and eat out of that bowl without it being cleansed, you're literally going to be eating the bacteria. Do you see? See how Yahuah loved people so much? He's like, hey guys, I'm going to teach you how to clean dishes. Isn't that cool?
Did the Hebrews make glass? I don't think they
No, I think they only had clay and gold and bronze. So
They just said,
pure things. I don't know if glass would have been. I think glass was discovered much later. I don't. Because glass is formed from sand and heat, right? Silicone, or not silicone, but silica. And so I don't know. I mean, obviously they had hot furnaces to make brass and gold and silver ornaments. Probably not. Glass is kind of fragile, anyways. Until they discovered tempered glass.
it would be a useful thing.
No, they were constantly moving. They were constantly traveling. So this is really simple here, guys. If an unclean thing dies and falls on something you use for food, you have to wash it. Make sense? Isn't the Torah cool? Guys, the Torah's cool, isn't it? Right? It says, in every earthen vessel where to any of them falls whatsoever in it shall be unclean, and they shall break it. Right? Now, just before that it said wash it in water. So why would they be breaking these? Maybe it's too big to wash. That's what I kind of got from it. It's an item that cannot be washed appropriately. Does that make sense?
If you can't get it clean, you might as well break it.
Yeah. You have to destroy it. All right. That's how I kind of saw that. I was just wondering what y'all thought. An earthen vessel again is probably some kind of porous material. So if something died and fell into it, it would soak in the poison. Yes, Mary.
Well, all the flies we've had in here today, you know, and I know you kill a lot of them. Flies are everywhere and they light on food.
Yes.
No way. No, if they did all the food, wash it.
Yeah. So this says if it dies and lands in it. So if you had like your wine glass and a fly got in there and died, would you drink that wine?
No.
You would pitch it out and wash the glass. T. Now, if a fly just comes and lands in your cup and flies away, according to this, maybe just wipe that off, right? But if it dies and falls into your drink, you probably don't want to be drinking that. That makes sense. That's how I interpret it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it means to me on the surface, without like being all weird and trying to formulate in between the lines. If an unclean thing dies and falls into your food or into your pot, and you can't wash it, you destroy it. Make sense? Yeah, give it to the chickens. You could do that. All right, and then it goes on to say, of all meat which may be eaten. So not all meat is meant for eating, right? Of all meat which may be eaten, then on which such water comes shall be unclean, and all drink that may be drunk in every such vessel shall be unclean. What does that mean?
Like, I guess if you're washing meat with water and that juice gets on something, it's not a clean.
That's good. That's good. So if like I'm washing meat and like the blood and stuff that comes off the meat goes onto my soup dish, I'm not going to eat out of that soup dish. I mean, you could say that, right? Is that what you're trying to say? Yeah, you could say, I mean, that's fair to me. I mean, that makes sense. Make it make sense, right, guys? Make it make sense.
If blood's gonna fall on your dick, you're not supposed to eat blood to begin with, so you gotta get it clean. Right?
Yeah. What about, it says on which such water comes. So if we go back and we kind of look here, it says about something dying and falling into something. So what if we had a vessel of water that a lizard died and fell into? Would we want to then take that water and wash our meat with it? No, because that water is now unclean. It's contaminated. I was just watching a video the other day, and it was like a tactic to like get rid of people in your land, right? It was to take a carcass of a rotting animal and put it upstream of where they gathered their water, and the water would flow down over that dead corpse and poison the water downstream. And so then everyone drinking the water downstream would become very sick. Okay? That's just kind of what this is talking about. If you have contaminated water, don't wash your meat. If you're washing your meat and stuff's washing off on other things, don't use that for food. I mean, you can say that about everything. It makes sense. Just make it make sense, and it's good. You know? It doesn't have to be complicated. The Torah was never meant to be complicated. And it says, "And all drink that may be drunk, and every such vessel shall be unclean." So, if you have wine and a lizard falls into your wine, you're not going to drink any of that wine. That could be a huge thing of wine, right? If you have a huge thing of wine and some stinking flies get in and die, are you going to sift them out and continue to serve that wine? No, because people can get sick. That's what this is talking about, right? That's how I see it. Does anyone agree or disagree? Any other thoughts?
I agree. That's why you gotta be careful when you're going out in the restaurant. They have an open line bar, open line in the corner. You gotta make sure.
There you go.
And then they turn around and serve you after they
Yeah.
pick out the file.
Or the mouse. I mean, think about how many restaurants find mice in their food. You know, or McDonald's finding human fingers in their food. How does that happen unless their burgers are made out of human meat? What? What's that? Alcohol? Does it sterilize things? It kills bacteria, but does it kill viruses and does it kill parasites? No, I don't think so. Does alcohol kill parasites? I don't know.
Maybe some parasites that wouldn't kill it.
If you soaked it in alcohol, right? But if you soak something in alcohol, would you eat it? I don't think so. I mean, that would be gross. I mean, could you imagine your hamburger soaked full of alcohol? We have to think realistically here. You know what I'm saying? And think logically to the time period. They weren't walking around with bottles of rubbing alcohol to cleanse their stuff. You know. Thankfully, we have Dawn dish detergent in our back pocket. Now we can be clean, right? In an instant. Maybe. What does it say here? And everything whereupon any part of the carcass falls shall be unclean. Whether it be an oven or ranges for pots, they shall be broken down, for they are unclean, shall be unclean unto you. Nevertheless, a fountain or pit, wherein there is plenty of water, shall be clean, but that which touches their carcass shall be unclean. And if any part of the carcass fall upon any sowing seed which is to be sown, it shall be clean. So if you have a bag of seed that you're about to use for your field, and you find a dead mouse in it, should you throw away all that seed? Oh, because you're going to put it in the ground, right?
There's dead things in the ground.
There's dead things in the ground, but would you make bread out of it? No. That's what this is teaching. If you found a dead mouse in your seed, you wouldn't then take that seed and grind it into flour, because then you would be poisoning people.
Contaminated whatever the mouth is, but when you plant it in the ground,
Doesn't matter, does it?
it doesn't matter.
Because the seed dies anyway.
It's only if you're going to eat it
There
that
you
it does matter.
Got it. You guys are getting it. Simple, isn't it? It's very simple. Okay. So in the fountain or pit is like a well. So if you had a well and you discovered that an animal fell into your well and died, would you completely cap Good questions.
Well, it being in a well, tap the well off because the water that's underneath it, as it flows, it will eventually clean the water till it gets to the.
And that's what this is talking about. It says where it touches shall be unclean, but if there's plenty of water, it shall be clean. In other words, a well is normally an underground stream, right? And so if something fell into it and you removed that thing and gave it some time, that water is going to purify itself. It's going to flow out the bacteria, right? Now, what you wouldn't want to do is while the animal is there, you wouldn't want to put your bucket down there and get water. You'd want to first remove the carcass and then give it some time to flush itself out. That's what this is talking about, right? Okay. Let's see. But if any water be put upon the seed and any part of the carcass fall thereon, it shall be unclean. Why would you put water upon seed? But if any water be put upon the seed and any part of the carcass fall thereon, it shall be unclean.
What are you doing with the seed of the water?
Well, I mean, water, if it's contaminated and it falls on the seed, so the water which is contaminated,
Makes the seed unclean.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it absorbs it, right? Yeah. And you wouldn't want to be handling it either because it absorbed the bacteria from that animal. If any beast of which you may eat. So in other words, if it rains and your seed gets wet and there's a dead mouse in it, you throw it all away. You throw it all away. It's contaminated. It's probably going to get moldy anyways. Okay. And if any beast of which ye may eat die, he that touches the carcass thereof shall be unclean until the evening. And actually, modern day farmers, just to go back to that, modern day farmers, if their seed gets contaminated with water, dead animals, they don't use it either. I was watching a farming show a while back, and that had happened to a guy. His whole thing of seed that he got, like this huge, giant pallet, had gotten wet, moisture in it, and mice had gotten into it, and it was done. Like he couldn't use it; he threw it all away. So they even use these principles in farming today. Does something strange to the seed. All right. If any beast of which ye may eat die, he that touches the carcass thereof shall be unclean. So what does that mean? So the Sefer, it kind of makes it complicated to understand. But if something died, it wasn't slaughtered, correct? It died. So this is talking about something that died on its own, whether it was from disease, old life, whatever. It died. For whatever reason, we don't know why it died, it died. But the children of Yasharel, we don't eat stuff like that. We don't eat stuff that we don't know why it died. Because it could be from some kind of weird brain disease, which is probably a worm or a parasite. For example, me and my son Brady were in the woods hunting squirrels because we just like to shoot squirrels. And this deer runs right past us, and we just watch it run past us, and we're like, "That's weird. That deer ran right past us, right?" It's literally what we said to each other. And then it goes up the hill and it falls over and dies, right there in front of us. And we walk over and it had like green stuff coming out of its nose, and died of some kind of disease. Yeah, it had an infection. So would we eat that?
No.
But it's free meat right there. It was from Yahuah, right? It died right in front of us.
You don't want to eat something that's infected because the infection may eat.
There you go. There you go. Huh? It was from God, right? Yep, that's it. Trying to poison us. You're right, brother. Why? Because we know the word says not to eat it. So we can't say, oh, it's from Yahuah, because Yahuah wouldn't do that, because that's against his Torah, right? This is applying the principles of Yahuah to your life every day. And it's meant to keep you safe, healthy, strong, able to leap over walls, right? And crush rocks between your thighs. That's my kind of life right there. You know? He that eats of the carcass of it shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. He also that bears the carcass of it shall wash his clothes and be unclean. Now, does being unclean mean that you can no longer come in? It just means you have to make sure you're good before you come back, right? That's good. And you cannot partake of holy things when you are unclean, or unless you profane it. Right? Leviticus 11:41, and every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth shall be an abomination; it shall not be eaten. Whatsoever goes upon the belly, whatsoever goes upon all four, whatsoever has more feet among all creeping things that creep upon the earth, them ye shall not eat, for they are an abomination. This takes me right back to the centipede and millipede, where you see these giant centipedes and the Asians eating them. And I'm just like if I could take my head and put it upside down, like that's how I feel when I see people eating stuff like that. Like, what are you doing? Does anything about that scream eat me? Right? Yeah. I mean, like those giant red centipedes. We have them here in Texas, by the way. The giant centipedes. They're here in Texas, and I found one time before that. They're scary. I like here to like here. They're giant, huge, and they have little yellow like legs. Super creepy.
Yeah, see something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I would never eat that. Would you? Like, would you instantly think, "Oh, I'm going to pick that up, and put it on the barbecue, and slap some teriyaki on it"? Yeah, I mean, you don't even want to see that thing, right? And Mary, you were asking about mussels or clams or something like that, right?
No, the conch.
A conch. So does a conch have fins?
No.
Does it have scales?
It lives in the mussel with shell.
So it's not a fish. And it
So
doesn't.
it's like a turtle.
So I just wanted to ask you those simple things because I think we're about to go through it, but anything that swarms in the seas or swarms on the earth, we're not supposed to eat of them. And that includes shrimp, lobsters, crabs, things that don't have scales and fins. The things in the seas and in the waters, they have to have scales and fins in order to consume them. Right? So that rules out all the bad stuff. Sea snakes, snails, slugs, shrimps, crabs, lobsters, seahorses, and the list goes on. Right? Turtles, all that kind of stuff. Scallops, starfish, I believe you. That's a good reason why we're not even supposed to touch them. We're supposed to consider them an abomination. So, guys, the next time you're out and you see somebody eating shrimp, I want you to go, abomination! All right? I'm just kidding. Don't do that. But I'm just having fun with you. Just having fun with you. Don't go to Red Lobster tonight and be like, abomination! But that's how we should be thinking in our mind, right? When we see that stuff, we're like, no! Don't eat that guy. You're killing yourself, right? If we could only convince more people of the truth. Yeah, losing their eyes. There's a parasite that eats the back of your eyeball, causes blindness. What is it, Ryan? Yeah. And then check it out. It says, "Ye shall not make yourself abominable." So how do you become an abomination to Yahuah? You eat the things he says is an abomination. So everyone that eats swine flesh is an abomination to Yahuah. That's what this says. You are what you eat. Bingo. You are what you eat. You eat a bunch of pigs, guess what you are? You're a pig. You're swine. That's how Yahuah looks at you. Think about that. That's how the Creator thinks of you. We should consider his words in all that we do. That way we are fully pleasing unto him. Right? Fully pleasing. Sweet aroma. Does he say to put lobsters on his altar? Oh, that's not a sweet aroma. So if you're putting altars in your belly, which is supposed to be the temple of Yahuah, are you a sweet aroma to him? No. That's the most simple I can say it. Because the next thing that it says is, neither shall ye make yourselves unclean with them, that ye should be defiled thereby. For I am Yahuah el-Hakim. Ye shall therefore sanctify yourselves. That means you choose what you eat and what you don't eat. And ye shall be holy, for I am holy. Neither shall ye defile yourselves with any manner of creeping thing that creeps upon the earth. For I am Yahuah that brings you up out of the land of Mitzrayim, your Elohim. Ye shall therefore be holy, for I am holy. He said it twice, guys. That means it's important, right? Not to mention he said, I am, like 4 times right there, right? Leviticus 11:44, I am. Then the second half of it, I am. Then the Leviticus 11:45, I am. And then at the end he says, I am. Does he have to make it any more clear? I guess for a bunch of people, he has to make it a lot more clear. And when we eat unclean things, we are unclean. And if we're unclean, we're an abomination. We're supposed to be holy as he is holy. And I know what you're saying. Prove it, Nathan. I don't believe you. All right, well, let's keep reading. This is the instructions of the Torah of the beasts and of the fowl and of every living creature that moves in the waters. It moves in the waters. That rules out eating conch, eating mussels, eating clams, and eating, what are those other things? Oysters, frogs, sea urchins, mermaids. Can't eat mermaids, guys. They don't have fins. They have a dorsal fin. Dorsal fin. Hey, back in the day, sailors used to claim that they would catch mermaids and eat them.
Hey, y'all.
There's pictures.
People are eating mermaids today, and they pay a lot of money to
So
eat them.
I don't know how that works, but I know that they're unclean. We shouldn't eat them, right? And of every living creature that moves in the waters, and of every creature that creeps upon the earth, to make a. Now here's why he gave it to us, right? To make a difference between the clean and unclean, unclean and clean, and between the beasts that may be eaten and the beasts that may not be eaten. You see, he's not trying to punish anyone, is he? He's trying to say, Ralph, I want you to be the strongest, fastest man of Yahuah. So here's what I need you to eat. He's like an athletic trainer, a dietitian, saying, Matthew, I want you to be able to run across the heads of grain. So here's what I need you to eat, right? Christopher, I want you to be the greatest fighter there is, right? Able to take down 1,000 men with one arm. But here's what I need you to eat so that you can do it. Make sense?
If you don't, you're just going to die of cancer.
And if you don't, you'll die of cancer, which is parasites. So I know what you said. You said, Nathan, I don't believe you. You need to prove it in the New Testament. Because if you don't prove it in the New Testament, you're a liar, right? Because the Old Testament's done away with. I'm glad you said that, because I wanted to bring this up to you. Is there an audience in the back? Is your chat GP trying to tell you how to live your life?
Open the door.
I'll go all Baptist on you until you get that devil out of here. I'm just kidding. Just trying to have fun. Praise you, all right?
I mean, he wants us to be happy and be joyous for him.
Yeah.
And praising him. And this is part of it, and it really makes you feel good about it.
Yeah. Check this out. Peter knew what he was talking about, didn't he? He said, wherefore, gird up your loins of your mind, be sober, and hope to the end the grace that is to be brought unto you at the revelation of Yahuah HaMashiach. As what? Obedient children, not fashioning yourselves according to the former lusts of ignorance. Yes, that means I had to give up my really yum crabby food that I love to eat, yum crab, where it was mixed with the pork sausage and the snow crab legs and the shrimps, right? I loved that stuff, and had potatoes and corn in it. Oh my. That's the lust of my flesh, because it was good, right? It was spicy. You know what I'm saying, Matthew? You know what I'm saying, man, right? Yeah. You know?
I have noticed that although at the time I was eating all of that, it tasted good, but now that I have quit eating it, I no longer desire to want to eat it.
There you go. That's good, David. That's good. And so that was in our ignorance, right, guys? Which means that unless someone shines the light on for you, you're going to continue in your ignorance. That's your job, guys, is to go out and be the light of the world. And as you shine your light on someone, Matthew, you're going to help teach them, hey, this is what Yahuah loves. And hopefully they'll do it, right? You can be that light of the world. In 1 Peter 1:15 it says, but as he which has called you is holy, so be ye holy in all manner of conversation. Right? Because it is written, be ye holy, for I am holy. Is it hard to be holy? What do you have to do?
It's simple. Is it hard?
Is it hard to say no to eating shrimp? It shouldn't be, right? It shouldn't.
be hard depending on your mindset.
Yeah. Well, you haven't fully surrendered yourself as an obedient child.
Right.
So you're not even close yet. You have to first surrender yourself to being an obedient child right there. Right? That's dying to self. So once you've died to self, is it hard to be holy? You just choose what he says, right? It becomes easy because you realize you don't even have to make up what you do. You just read it and you're like, okay, today I'm going to do this because he said do this. And I'm not going to do this because he said don't do that. It starts to get really easy, huh? Like a child.
Yeah, but then we can't let our pride get in our way.
Yeah, changing the word, right?
That's where it's hard.
Pride comes in the biggest is when we try to compromise with an excuse. Well, I don't want to hurt someone's feelings, so I'm just going to eat this anyways, right? Or for so-and-so's sake, I'm going to do this, Can't do that. No, that's compromising your testimony. Because then the next day you're like, I can't do that. And then that guy's going to be like, well, yesterday you did. That's why Paul never ate unclean food. Otherwise he would have been a liar. All right? Now, former lusts, get rid of them. Your hour of ignorance is over, friends. But as he which has called you is holy, so be holy in all manner of conversation, because it is written, be holy, for I am holy. And if ye call on the Father, who without respect of person judges according to every man's work, pass the time of your sojourning here in fear. Now, I go to church every Sunday. I read my Bible 3 times a day. I pray for 8 hours a day. Am I holy? No, I'm not. I'm doing works, but am I actually submitting myself to what is written? That's the question. Right. And so this is the biggest misconception. Church doesn't make you holy. It doesn't make you holy. Praying doesn't make you holy. They don't. You can pray all day long. You might be praying to Baal for all you know, right? Praying doesn't make you holy. Going to church doesn't make you holy. Does reading that book make you holy, Matthew? Does reading the Bible make you holy? Follow it. Bingo. Doers of the word. Bingo. A believer is a doer of the word, and then you become holy. Do the demons believe the word of Yahuah? Yes. What makes the difference between a demon and a believer? Obedience. That's it. So one that says they believe but does not do the words are like the demons. They're called devils. Right? Like that's crazy when you think about it in such a light. That if someone claims to believe, yeah, God's real, yeah, his book's real, I believe everything in there, but they don't do it, they have just put themselves on the same field as the demons. Yikes. That's the reality. That's the reality, dear friends. So if you call on the Father, who doesn't respect persons, which means you could be the nicest guy in the world, and the Father doesn't know you because you haven't submitted yourself as an obedient child. Make sense? You could be the sweetest guy in the world. If you don't follow his word, he don't know you. All right?
See, that's where he comes in with his lies and makes being that way, but he's actually
Bingo, because he appears as an angel of light. He makes you think you're following the Mashiach. But if you find yourself as an objection to the truth, you're not following the Mashiach, the Messiah, you're following the angel of light. This hospital. All right, let's keep moving here, huh? For as much as ye know that ye were not redeemed with corruptible things, as silver and gold, from your vain conversation, received by tradition from your fathers. What's Peter saying here? He's saying you can't buy your way into redemption. You can't Catholic church your way into redemption. You can't pay silver and gold for the forgiveness of your sins. Right? You can't. That's what Peter's saying here. You can only be redeemed by the one who redeemed you with an incorruptible thing, his blood. Okay? But if you continue in vain conversation received by the tradition of your fathers, in other words, what we talked about earlier in Leviticus about the traditions of men, if you continue in those things, you're in vanity and you're not being redeemed. Okay? You're in vain. But with the precious blood of Mashiach, that's what I was saying about being redeemed by something incorruptible, as of a lamb without blemish and without spot, who truly was foreordained before the foundation of the world, was manifest in these last times for you. So when did Yahushua first come in? Before the foundation of the world. He was there before creation. All right? I had a conversation with a guy last night about that, actually. He said that the Messiah didn't show up until later. And I was like, let me show you something. He was like literally his eyes went. He was there writing down every scripture I gave. It was beautiful. I was so thankful because he was hungry for the truth. And every scripture I gave, he pulled out his little thing and he wrote it all down. I was like, yeah, you go, guy. You go. He was so hungry for the truth that when he found it, he couldn't get enough. I actually had to be like, I gotta go. Yeah, hallelujah. Who by him do believe in Elohim, that raised him up from the dead and gave glory, that your faith and hope might be in Elohim. Seeing ye have purified your souls in obeying the truth through the Ruach unto unfeigned love of the brethren. So who purified your souls? Huh? Who purifies your soul? You do. What's your soul, Matthew? What is your soul? It's a good question to ask people. It's your thoughts, your will, in other words, what you want to do, and your emotions. So if you purify your soul, what are you doing? You're taking your thought, will, and emotions and throwing it in the trash. And you're taking Yahuah's will and his thoughts, which are higher than our thoughts, and you're putting them in your mind. That's what the mind of the Messiah means. When you put on the mind of Messiah, it means you're doing the works and the will of the Father instead of your own. Make sense? Have you ever heard that, the mind of Christ? Put on the mind of Christ. What is that? It means you're doing what Yahushua did rather than doing what you want to do. Right? You're being obedient as a child. And that purifies your soul as you're obeying the truth through the Ruach of Yahuah, under the unfeigned love of the brethren. See that you love one another with a pure heart fervently. You can't have a pure heart until you submit to the will of Yahuah. Make sense? You can love brothers without a pure heart, can't you? Out of selfishness. What's up?
And when you repent, okay, then you automatically have the mind in you. So therefore, when you accept it, you have the mind of him. Therefore, you can do it. Following in the Father.
There you go, brother. It does say to put it on, so it is something we physically have to search out, seek out, and then do, right? But you're right. You're right. That desire begins to grow in us. I agree. Being born again, not of corruptible seed, but of incorruptible, by the word of Elohim, which lives and abides forever. That corruptible seed is a bag of seed that got water on it, something died in it, right? So that is, it's tossed out. And let's see. We only got a couple slides left. 1 Corinthians 6:15. Know ye not that actually someone else read. I'm gonna give myself a cup of coffee. Someone want to read? I know Matthew does.
Oh, I'm enjoying it. Yes.
Know ye not that your bodies are the members of Mashiach, showing
This is that.
the members of Mashiach.
No, it's in the head.
Not that which is joined is one body. Two, says he, shall be one. That
So, if you claim that you are walking in belief of the Messiah, that you are going to inherit eternal life with him, the evidence should be in your body, your physical body. Because if you're claiming to be saved by the Messiah, that means that you're letting go of the unclean things and allowing his Ruach HaKodesh to live in you, which means you're cleansing your cup, you're cleansing your vessel. So if you say that you believe and you're continuing to eat things that he said not to eat, to drink things he said not to drink, to do things he said not to do, you think the Ruach HaKodesh is dwelling in that vessel? No, it's not. That's what this is talking about. Because if it were, you were bought with a price, right? With his blood. So if he was dwelling in you, Matthew, which means he purchased you with his blood, and you're out here profaning it by doing sinful things over and over, you've made a habit of sinning, right? What are you doing to the Ruach HaKodesh that dwells in you? Huh? You're destroying it. You're literally trampling on the blood that purchased you by choosing to continue in sin, habitual sin. Does that make sense? That's scary stuff, friends. It's scary stuff. You're saying that the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, the Spirit of Yahuah is dwelling in you, yet you can continue to do the things he said not to do, and he will dwell in you? That's some serious arrogance, isn't it?
You're disrespecting our Creator.
Correct. Now, understand that sin is the breaking of the Torah. So read the Torah so you know what sin is. Because there's some things, guys, that we beat ourselves up in this life that aren't even in the Torah. We're out here saying we're just sinners and we're all going to hell, and it's not even in there. You're adding to it. So be careful, friends. We're not creating our own laws and condemning ourselves according to things that aren't even written. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Good. Good. And by the way, if you're doing a sin and you're convicted of it, right, and you're struggling with it, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. That means Yahuah is with you and he's trying to teach you and correct you and lead you by his rod and his staff. So be comforted that you feel convicted of your sin. All right? And have hope. Get rid of the condemnation and keep moving forward, bit by bit, step by step. Right?
There's no telling how long your heart's going to be convicted until
Yeah.
break that problem.
So is this talking specifically just about the fornication of the flesh? No, it's not. It's also talking about the fornication of the spirit by allowing false fire, right? False, strange fire into your life. Things from other religions, practices from other occults, all kinds of stuff, right? Into your faith, into your walk, right? A little bit of Freemasonry here, a little bit of Jewish mysticism here, and the next thing you know, you're lost, deeply lost. Make sense?
I mean,
A little bit of leaven destroys the whole bunch. What's up?
You get to doing things like that, you don't stop and think about it. Yourself in a pattern to do what is not right. So you have to put your mindset into a pattern to do what is right.
Right. All right. Flee from it, my dear friends. Romans 6, I know Ryan loves Romans, all right? What does it say there? We only have a couple slides left.
Likewise, reckon ye also yourselves to be dead indeed unto sin, but alive unto Yahuah through Yahushua HaMashiach our Adonai. Let not sin therefore reign in your mortal body, that ye should obey it in the lusts thereof. Neither ye your members as instruments of unrighteousness unto sin, but yield yourselves unto Elohim as those that are alive from the dead, and your members as instruments of righteousness unto Elohim. Sin does not have dominion over you. Ye are not under the law, but under grace.
Oh boy, that one's used a lot, isn't it? Taken out of context. So what is instruments of righteousness? What is an instrument of unrighteousness? Huh?
Using your body to obey the Torah, to disobey the Torah.
Correct. An instrument of unrighteousness would be you're out here teaching and doing things against the Torah. An instrument of righteousness is out here teaching and doing the things of the Torah. The example of the Messiah that he gave, right? Matthew 5-7. Right? So it's your choice. It's either one. There is no in between. Right? Okay? And then let's see, what's the other one? What does it mean? Not under the law, but under grace.
Law of sin and death.
Yeah. The law of sin and death is for who? Reverse the first half of that verse, 6:14.
Those who sin have
There you go. Bingo. If you were to take the not out, and it says, for sin does have dominion over you, it would say you are under the law. What does it mean to be under something? Ralph, I'm going to put this chair on my back and I want you to sit on it. Okay? All right, sit on it.
It's a burden.
It's a burden! Thank you for answering before you got on my back. It's a burden. Why is it a burden? Because it's a
I need an example.
it's an objection to the lusts of our flesh. That's why it's a burden. Because you see, when we're still when sin is still in dominion of us, we hate the way of Yahuah because it's an objection to it. And so knowing what sin is becomes a great weight on our back as we continue to commit it. And we're being crushed by it because we know that the wages of sin is death. So we have all this condemnation that's on our back as we continue in the lust of our flesh and sin, because sin has dominion over us. But the minute that we say, I'm a sinner and I need salvation, I need Yahuah to forgive me, and you say, I confess your name, forgive me, that great weight comes off because of his grace. But what happens then if we make a habit of sinning again? Condemnation comes over us. Is it because Yahuah condemns us? No, it's because the law condemns us. Because now we know what sin is. Right? And so that chair gets back on our back, and we try to pick it up on our own, but we can't. And we go through life constantly going, If we would just submit to the will of Yahuah and cast off that burden onto him and say, Yahuah, help me, right? It becomes not a burden, and it becomes a joy to do the will of Yahuah. And that's why his commandments are not burdensome.
Any burden that's put on you, you can't get it off of you yourself. You have to have some type of help somewhere.
There it is. Good job. All right. So to be under something is being squished by it, right? Because you're already condemned because you've given yourself to it, to sin. Does that make sense? All right. Romans 6:15. What's all this say?
But then, shall we sin because we are not under the law but under grace? Never.
Stop right there. So you see, Paul wasn't teaching people to continue in sin because there's grace. In other words, don't break the law just because you have grace. Keep the law and be thankful for grace. Keep going.
Know ye not that to whom ye yield yourselves servants to obey, his servants you are to whom you obey, whether of sin unto death or of obedience unto righteousness.
This is beautiful, right? This is pretty straightforward. If you continue in sin, you are a servant of sin, and it leads to
death.
And if you're a servant of obedience to the law, you are righteous. Boom! That's pretty simple, ain't it? I don't know how people get Paul so confused unless someone's teaching them a confusing doctrine. All right, keep going.
But Elohim be thanked that ye were the servants of sin, but ye have obeyed from the heart that form of doctrine which was delivered you.
What sets us free?
Truth.
The truth. if we obey the truth from the, it says obeyed from the heart, if we obey the truth from the heart, that doctrine will deliver us. All right? You see how the truth sets us free? That's what Paul is teaching. If you will obey the truth from your heart, in other words, circumcise your heart, it will deliver you. Yeah? Bingo. All right. Got it. Nice. Keep reading.
Being then made free from sin, you became servants of righteousness.
Yeah.
I speak after the manner of men because of the infirmity of your flesh, for as you have been servants to uncleanness and to lawless deeds, even so now yield your members servants to righteousness
Unto holiness. And that goes right back to Leviticus that we were reading today. As you begin to clean your life by doing what he says, you begin to become servants of righteousness, lawful, right? And you become a servant of righteousness unto holiness. That's where he's leading us all, as to holiness. That's the only way we're going to walk in his presence someday. It begins now in our life as submitting as obedient children. Beautiful, huh? When ye were the servants of sin, you were free from righteousness. That's scary, right? What fruit had ye then in those things whereof ye are now ashamed? For the end of those things is death. But now being made free from sin and become servants to Elohim, ye have your fruit unto holiness. And the end is everlasting life. Now you're producing good fruit because you've submitted to the truth, right? And so if you continue to walk in Christianity and religion, are you bearing good fruit? No, because you're obeying the doctrine of men versus the doctrine of Yahuah, which means you're bearing bad fruit and it leads to death. Okay? But now being made free from sin, I already said that. For the wages of sin is extra life, right?
Wait, that didn't sound right.
For the wages of not doing the law is extra life. Don't say that, does it? It says, for the wages of breaking the Torah is death. For the wages of sin is death. But the gift of Elohim is eternal life. Is it a gift? It's a gift. That's right. It's eternal life through Yahushua HaMashiach and our Adonai. Why is it a gift? Because it comes through grace. It comes through unmerited favor because we in ourselves are full of infirmity. But as we continuously choose what is right and not make a habitual lifestyle of sin, he redeems us and gives us the life of eternal time with him as a gift. Make sense? But it's never going to happen if you never submit to his will. Never going to happen.
Those that don't accept it, they miss out on such a grace, a blessing. Because when he chooses you and you go to him, then you, at the time, you don't realize how much you are really being blessed.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
It's a great feeling, a great want to now, and all those that don't see it, they don't realize that their life is over with. They may be living on this earth now, but once their body dies, they're going to be in torment.
that's right. And most of them are in torment. When I was a Christian, I was in great torment. You know what the Christians say about being in torment? They say it's because they're walking with the Messiah. I'm sorry to laugh, but he whose mind is stayed on me, I will keep in perfect peace. Perfect peace. There's a problem with their philosophy. What are we going to say, Ryan?
See, that's why
Yeah.
fix the sin for a little while. For a little while.
Bingo. Yeah, for our online viewers, Ryan said that's why those religions need what they call, what do they call them? Revivals, right? Evangelists, so they can rekindle their false fire, make themselves feel good again. Because at the end of all things, right, every man should do what? What did it say in Ecclesiastes? Keep the commandments of Yahuah, right? So when Paul was writing to the United States of America, aka Rome, what did he say in Romans 3:31? Paul summed it up. He says, "Do we then make void the Torah by this faith? Nah, never. Heaven forbid, right? We establish it. We establish the Torah according to the spirit of Yahushua, with mercy, justice, and faith." Okay? That's the truth, friends. That's the truth. And I hope that each one of you takes from this today and understands that this is a journey. We are all in this race together, perfecting what is lacking in ourselves. And as we go, we notice, hey, let's learn this and let's do this and let's do that. We need each other. I need you, Matthew. I need you to be like, hey, Nate, can you show me this? Or, hey, Nate, I seen you doing this. Is that right? Is that according to this? Right? Help me. Don't let me stumble either. Right? It's absolutely necessary that we become brothers and sisters in Yahushua, willing to pick each other up when we fall, to point out each other when we're stumbling, right? It's better to have someone with you in case you fall into a pit. You have someone to pick you back up out, right? That's what all that was meant for, because Yahushua knows that we're going to stumble and we're going to fall. 7 times a righteous man may fall, and 7 times you get back up again. Does an unrighteous man ever fall? No, because he never got up. He's never been born again. He's still laying down in his wounds, in his sin. That makes sense? An unrighteous man can never fall because he never got up. What? He's still wallowing in his sin and unhappiness, in his, like a swine in a mud pit. Yeah, they do. Well, that concludes the lesson for today. I hope it blessed y'all. And my online viewers, we love you and thank you for joining us. And feel free to ask any questions, and I'll try to get on there and see what you asked. My email is theway@Temple, Texas @Outlook. If you want to email me. And if you're in the area of Temple, Texas, come on by. You can Google The Way, Temple, Texas, and it'll come up on Google Maps. We love you, and may Yahuah bless you and keep you. Thank you. Thank you, honey.
Change your card from 10 a.m. to 11.
Yeah, I know.